What's up, guys? Welcome to Broke and Stressed, a PT student podcast where we talk about our lives as broke and stressed physical therapy students. Throughout grad school, you'll come to find that the struggles that you're having happen all the time to thousands of students across the country. You are not alone. In this podcast, we'll share our personal stories and walk you through how we overcame some of our own struggles. I'm your host, Ruben. Let's have some fun, have some good conversation, and let's get into the episode. All right, guys, welcome. Hello. It is episode 28 of the podcast today with Miranda Lou. Go ahead and say hi, Miranda.
What's up?
Go ahead and introduce
Hi, everybody.
yourself. Tell everyone the folks where you're from and who you are.
Okay, my name is Miranda. I'm a third-year student at UIC with rooms. I'm originally from California and then moved out to Chicago just to hang out with some really cool people. And so here we are.
Yes, yeah. All right, so today, if you guys will notice, that's changing scenery behind me. It's kind of funny. I just got off my clinical, and I'm in the office, the last one in the office, and I decided, you know what, it'll be pretty cool and pretty funny to make this a makeshift podcast studio for the evening. So I'll be funny. I bet you the janitor is gonna walk in through this. So just you guys listening are a little. Give you guys more context, but last semester Miranda and I had a clinical at this location, which is something I want to talk about and kind of reflect on. Just first of all, the fact that we're graduating. Second of all, how stressful and hard clinicals was, and I want you guys to hear her perspective on her pretty much very different clinicals. I would say. Would you agree that they're kind of pretty different?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so let's dive into the fall at UIH.
Okay.
About how it started, how it the middle, beginning, middle, and end. Let's just run through it. Let's have some relive our memories here.
All right. Started on a little rocky.
Yeah.
I feel like we just didn't know that much about what we were getting into or what was expected of us. And I think those first 4 weeks were just so they were stressful, to say the least.
Yep.
Just a lot of learning, like new techniques, right? New manual techniques. It got better. I don't know if I necessarily felt like super comfortable even at the end. I just felt like I was always learning something or fixing something or adjusting something even up to like the last day.
Mm-hmm.
But I did find it to be one of the most rewarding clinicals, mostly because I knew how much like we had all like put into it, how much effort we had all had to put in like on our own time, and then being able to like, you know, at least kind of comfortably leave that kind of clinical and in one piece.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. That was a constant struggle, really. I remember we'd be just leaving and we'd walk to your car together, and because sometimes you'd give me a ride home and it would be like, so how's your day? Both just sighs of like relief, but also sighs of like pain. It was overwhelming for sure, to say the least. Like she was saying, like we thought we knew a good amount or enough to get us by, but then we realized just how much we really didn't know, and how much you learn through experience.
Yeah.
And I don't know, that was kind of mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
Because you didn't have a summer one, did you?
No.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah.
So I think that also might have played a role into why it was so overwhelming.
Yeah. I mean, we basically went from like this pandemic hit the world, and then we had our clinicals canceled. So we're just like kind of twiddling our thumbs for like basically like 7-8 weeks or something like that. And then we had to go into a full blown clinical.
Yeah.
With like some like my 2CIs use treatment techniques that I had never really used before. So it was just like, well, here we go.
Yeah. And what techniques were those for those who weren't familiar with?
Okay. They did a lot of Maitland, like manual therapy. So it's just one approach to like, you know, of the many different kind of like ortho manual approaches. A lot of hands-on work, a lot of like, you know, assessing, reassessing how the patient is tolerating like the manual therapy that we're doing. And it was just something that we had gotten very little exposure to before this clinical. And so had to put a lot of effort in that first month, really trying to learn the different techniques and the different grading scales
Mm,
of all the joint modes and stuff.
yeah, for sure. And yeah, we learned some stuff like with grading kind of,
Yeah.
but it was just a little bit not as in depth as when we got here. So
Oh, for sure.
we did have to have some, like, I guess, moments when we had a canceled patient and our CIs would
Hmm.
walk us through, oh, this is this technique or whatever, and we got to practice on each other and on our CI. And they started, luckily for us, they started doing what was it called on Fridays?
Oh, manual lab.
Manual Lab Fridays,
Yeah.
led by Phil, which was really helpful actually.
Hmm.
I would have liked if it started earlier because we at that point we probably most of us learned a good amount of stuff already. But yeah, that was pretty clutch to have to go over that all together as a group, ask
Oh,
questions,
for
and then
sure.
practice.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
super
for
nice.
sure. Yeah. It was really helpful.
Hmm. And in like class too, like it's hard in class because like you don't know if you're doing it right. Like we're practicing it on each other,
Yeah.
and you don't have that one-on-one feedback from the teacher because it's like the teacher and like two assistants and 60 kids trying to like, am I doing this right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then too, I think it was difficult is that for some of the patients like I was working with, I use them a lot to figure out if like this particular joint or this area was like an area of their pain or stiffness. And when you're working with people in PT school, it's like half of us don't necessarily have
Yeah.
pain or stiffness. So it's just, you're just kind of hoping that this is correct, but then really like working on a patient who is in pain is like a very different experience.
Hmm. Totally different because then you'll actually feel a stiff joint or a hypomobile joint. You'll actually get like pain symptoms when you hit work on something, and you'll know how
Yeah.
much to change your grading by, stuff like that that you just literally can't get with mostly healthy people.
Yeah, for sure.
um what are some things that helped you, I guess, get over the hump of how difficult this clinical was?
I mean, I think it was nice like having you there or having the other students there. I think it was really nice to have like someone else like with me. I feel like that's for sure. It's really nice when you're not by yourself and like drowning on your own.
Hmm.
um I think also just I think I had some honest conversations with my CIs, just kind of telling them like it was difficult. I think for me, it comes sometimes it can be difficult to admit that I am having a hard time. Like I was hoping I could kind of tough my way through it.
Hmm.
But I kind of just had to be honest and it kind of tell them like this is something difficult, this is something hard, and they were really understanding, which is really nice.
Yeah.
They also provided like a lot of resources, um, like a lot of articles I read in my own time, even like I don't know, this like one section in a book just to like try to better understand like what
Hmm.
what was going on. And they like gave me kind of the space to like re-speak these things to them. And then of course just like the constant learning. And I think the nice part about that clinical was just because of like the cancellation rate, we were always seeing new patients. Like we
Hmm.
were always seeing something different. We were always like it was on the one hand it was difficult because we didn't always get to see like the same person more than like maybe three times. But then on the other hand, it was like really helpful just to kind of be exposed again and again to like certain aspects, like especially with like working on the patient review and then going through an eval like again and again and again was just like I
Hmm.
feel like really helpful for me. To be honest, I don't know if I completely survived clinical, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about PT, so it was like a really great experience overall.
A part of my soul didn't leave the clinical, and that's why I'm still here. I'm still in the office.
Yeah.
I never truly left. But that's a story for another day, guys. Um, yeah, that's true. Like being in it together was really helpful. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I think it was hard for me too to go up to my CIs and be like, "Hey, guys, like I'm struggling."
Yeah, for
And
sure.
it's a pride thing. It's a, I don't know, it's like a, yeah, you want to be able to tough it out
Yeah.
and just not admit defeat because you've gotten this far already, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously they're nice. Like RCIs are all nice. So
No, yeah, they're great.
we're fortunate
Yeah.
enough in that regard.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that always in the back of our head is like, shoot, I don't want to not necessarily look like a failure, but look like a dummy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I totally understand. I think it sometimes can even limit, I feel like, how we as PT students even like are willing to learn or like are willing to put ourselves out there because we're so afraid of failure.
Hmm.
But like you mentioned, yeah, I had really great CIs. They were really understanding. Um, like once I had those conversations, it was fine, but it was just getting to that point where I was like, I had to admit it, like I had to say the words out loud, like I am not doing well, like I am having a hard time with this. Can you help me? I think that part for me was really difficult. But once I got there, then then they knew. I think they already knew. I just kind of had to,
You just had to
tell
say
them
it.
myself. Yeah, like I just had to admit it out loud to myself too. And
Hmm.
then they were just also really supportive. So it was like a great, yeah, I just had a really great relationship with my CIs.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't remember when along it was, but I think I was so stressed one day. I think I damn near broke out in tears. Um, and I actually I was like, you know, I can't do it. So I called my CI, and I was like, hey, can we talk?
Yeah,
I
no.
want to talk through this real quick. And it wasn't a reflection of her. I wanted to make sure it wasn't a reflection of her. It was just
Hmm.
the way things were. And she was super understanding, and she helped me talk through things, gave me reassurance, and that was, yeah. I think that's super important to have that kind of transparency with your CI, because then otherwise you're just stuck in a rut.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Hmm. Now, how does that? Oh wait, actually, hold on. Before I segue, we forgot to talk about your embarrassing moments. I almost got
I
past
was
you
hoping to
there.
get off that one. No, so actually this is a great segue because my embarrassing moment, so my next clinical after the fall one was my, I guess, winter. Yes, my winter one was at Rush in their inpatient rehab facility. And so that one was completely different. It was like obviously inpatient, first of all. And then a lot of the patient diagnoses were, medically complex. Saw a lot of patients with like who had suffered strokes or like TBIs and stuff like that versus at the fall one, it was more like just like pure ortho. And so for every patient, typically, well, not every, but we often had to go into their rooms and like pick them up and then take them to the gym. Or we would have to like drop them off back in their room when our session was over. So one day I was like on a roll. I was like feeling really good about myself. I picked up a patient, you know, worked with him, like dropped him off. And then I like dropped him off I went to the wrong room. So I kind of like, started, like pushing this man, like feeling really great. And then the nurse is like, Miranda. And I was like, yeah. And
No way.
she just points and is like, that way. And I was like, what? So I had to like flip a U and like in the middle of all of these nurses just
Oh my
staring at me.
god.
And then for like the next 2 weeks, they were like, you sure you got the right patient? Are you sure you're going to the right room? Like, don't forget, you're going that
Oh, they
way.
kept. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, that's rough.
But I really liked working with them. It was really great. But yeah, that was good times. Good
No, that's a
times.
good. That was a good one. Okay, for
Yeah.
sure. So, talk to me a little bit about the difference in workflow, I guess, because we were at a outpatient ortho connected to a hospital based, and then
Hmm.
you're inpatient rehab. So, I guess what's the difference in like the workflow there versus here?
Yeah. So I was still connected to a large hospital system, Rush, but like in a kind of a separate building. So it's like it's not quite. It's still connected to the hospital, but it's like a little bit of an offshoot, which is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so that's kind of like acute rehab, right? Is where patients have to tolerate like 3 hours of intensive rehab. So that's like speech, PT, OT. Um, it was like really a lot more interdisciplinary. So like I worked a lot more like with like coordinating with OTs, working with like the speech language pathologist, like just a lot more. I feel like like in the building, like coordination. So I feel like when I was at UIH, right, we like sometimes saw patients who also needed OT, but in terms of like talking to other like healthcare providers, it wasn't as common. But there it was just like we were always working together with nursing. The physicians would round like all the time, so sometimes we'd be in the middle of the like of a session, and the MDs would be like right there and then, and they would
Oh,
like
wow,
talk
that's
to
cool.
us, and then they would talk to us, then they would talk to the patient, they would see how they're doing, with PT, and then they would kind of go along their way. So it was like a really different environment because there was just a lot more kind of like on the floor working together. Another difference too was just like I couldn't take any of my work home. So I couldn't like document, I couldn't chart review basically like
Oh,
on my own. I couldn't
uh,
document like at
yeah.
home. Like I had to do everything in that building. And so I just had to go in like really early. And then sometimes I would stay really late just because I had to do everything like in the center.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And then we had 45-minute sessions with each patient, and they were all back to back. And so I had to kind of learn how to document like on the fly a little bit more so, just because too, yeah, I couldn't take anything home. And then also like certain things needed to be like put in at a certain time. Like it was just like, I mean, it wasn't like at least it was still using Epic, which was nice. Like, like
Yeah.
at least it wasn't like a completely different system. But
Mhm.
I just think like learning, like how to document like while I was still with the patient was something that I didn't really do at UIH. And so I had to like learn how that worked.
Yeah.
And then we use a lot more like, I mean, for those of you who have Epic, like flow sheets versus the notes, like we use a lot more flow sheets and stuff. And so that part was different, but it was also nice too, like not having to take any work home, because when I was at UIH, it was like I would leave and then I still had like like so many notes to do, like, but then once I left, it was like I was done. So like that was nice, like in the middle, like I feel like I was so busy in the day just because I had no downtime, but once I finished, I was done. And then I could go home, and it was like that was like, a little bit more off time versus I feel like when I was at UH, it was just on all the time.
Yeah, dude, I have 4 notes to write today that I do. I thought I would be good at managing my time today, but I have 4
Yeah.
notes to write today, which is gonna be
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. I don't miss that. Sorry, man.
It's okay. I guess in terms of how you think for like clinical rationale and treatment, how does it differ in an ortho versus a rehab setting?
Oh man, it was so different. I mean, like for instance, like stuff like pain or whatever, like it really never came up.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, sometimes they were in pain, but it wasn't. A lot of it was managed by like pharmacology, right?
Yeah,
So like,
farmers.
yes,
Yeah.
it was managed by farmers. They went out to the
Yeah.
garden and
Yeah.
anyways. But like, so that part was like different because all of that stuff was like medically managed, and then
Mm-hmm.
a lot of our stuff was like just focusing on just like purely like functional like limitations or impairments and stuff like that. So like a lot of my interventions were just like based on like bed mobility, and then from bed mobility you would go into like sit to stands, and then standing, and then like walking, and then doing the stairs, and then like trying to build endurance. But it wasn't so much like, okay, where is like the source of your discomfort, like where, like, or what exactly happened. It was like I kind of knew what had happened, like, patient X had a stroke and now they're, and then needs, therapy to like get him to go back home, or to get him strong enough, right, to do all these things to go back home. So
Yeah.
that part was nice because I wasn't doing as much like what is a differential diagnosis, because
Differentials. Yep.
it was like, decreased endurance, decreased strength, or like a left-sided, hemiparesis or something like that. So that part was easier. Like I think some of the harder stuff was just like a lot of the patients also had like cognitive deficits.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had one patient with global aphasia, and he only dropped F-bombs.
Oh man.
And like just, like how do you, at least like his physical, like in terms of like walking and moving around and stuff, he was like doing really great, but like he needed to be there because of, his cognitive deficits.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just hard because from a physical therapy standpoint, he was walking up and down the stairs just fine, but like he had a lot of neglect. So like one side he like just totally wasn't aware of. So he'd always run into something.
Mm-hmm.
And then also just because of the cognitive deficits, we just thought he was a huge kind of a safety risk. Because he just like everything, like what he couldn't understand what we were saying, and then we just didn't know what he was saying. So that part was really different.
Based on, I guess, based on the two experiences you had, two very different experiences you had, do you have an idea of where you want to work or what you want to do?
I think I'm inclined more towards the rehab side. I liked being with patients kind of in that, like closer to when, maybe they had a car accident or maybe they had a stroke, and kind of more towards that like acute injury
Mm-hmm.
thing, like side of things. I feel like I actually do enjoy being in the hospital. Like, um, I liked that environment of just learning from a lot of other people and working with a lot of other healthcare providers. I really like that component. But also I think too, I'm a little bit of a nerd. So I like the neuro side of things.
Yeah.
The ortho side of things is also really fascinating. That's a whole nother conversation in terms of chronic pain. But I think just me personally, I just kind of liked working with that patient population and really getting in the high intensity, like task specific training. Like that part was kind of my jam.
Yeah.
And so I think I liked it a smidge more than the
Mm-hmm.
outpatient ortho setting.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you have have you like started applying and stuff?
I thought about it.
There you go. That's the
I
first step.
like I found that a lot of places don't actually let you apply without a license.
Oh, interesting.
So I like tried. I like
Mm-hmm.
put some like applications out there, and then I just was like, all right, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All
I
right.
basically found out a bunch of places aren't taking people without a license.
Okay. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, you'll have a license in a couple here months.
Fingers crossed.
Exactly. Um. Okay. Let's talk about some things that you wished you knew. Going into each clinical. Let's start with the outpatient ortho. I guess
Things
things
I
you wish you knew
wish.
or things you wish you did better. If you could like travel back in time.
Ooh. I think outpatient ortho. I feel like they're all going to be about the same, to be honest, for both.
For
I don't know,
both?
just
Okay, yeah. Then I'll
yeah.
just go through
Well,
both.
yeah. Well, I think a lot of it is just me being okay, yeah, with like that component of not knowing everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I think now looking back, it's like this is still part of our education, right? Like this is still part of our learning, and so um, we should. I don't know. I feel like I just need to tell myself like I don't need to put as much pressure in knowing everything. Like starting week one, like I feel like we all feel this need to like perform and stuff, but so I wish I could tell myself like it's okay, you didn't know that, it's okay you didn't know these things.
Mm-hmm.
Just be like open to feedback and like learning, and even just acknowledging like yeah, it's okay that you don't know everything.
Yeah.
um
I think that's
I think
super key because I feel like a lot of us when going into clinicals are I mean, yeah, we should be studying and reviewing everything, but literally like you're not gonna know every single thing. There's gonna be moments you're gonna run into a situation like crap. I literally don't know, and I
yeah, for
studied
sure.
for forever.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I think I definitely got more practice with was just in terms of like patient education and patient communication, for both like ortho and neuro. They can be really different, like in terms of what you're talking about. But I think just learning how to have sometimes difficult conversations with patients, but also like talking in a manner that doesn't like, for lack of a better term, doesn't make things worse. Like it
True.
doesn't
Yeah.
make them feel worse about themselves, doesn't make you feel worse about yourself, doesn't make, like, doesn't add to any of like their considerations or concerns. I think is something that I still feel like I really need to learn and like improve upon. Um, like I feel like that, like just realizing that was really helpful to me. Anything else? I think, and then I think one thing that helped me too was just like reaching out to other people. Like you, whether it was like talking to like you after like the day was over, or like talking to like other PTs that I've known from other places, or just like, I don't know, just like friends, and just having that way to like process things. I did actually talk to some of our faculty members for help, because I think at some point I was just like, I just can't do it. I just don't know what's going on. I don't know if I'm like doing this correctly or if I'm going about this the right way. And so just kind of having some open conversation with people, I think, who have done it, have gone before me, or like even my peers, was also really helpful for me.
Yeah. I think that's important because I feel like people forget that you can use the faculty as resources. Like they've all gone through it. They all have the degree, like ask them
Yeah.
what they had to do, like what helped them get through it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I forgot that too, honestly. You hear that?
Is that the janitor?
I think so. I was like, what is that sound? Oh God. Okay, hold on. Sorry for you guys for listening to this and that squeaky sound. But that's kind of all I have for today. I'm just gonna ask Miranda, what are some tips for anyone that's like struggling through the application process, doubting themselves if they're gonna make it to PT school? Any tips for those people?
I mean, first off, like, I feel like we've been mentioning, like, you're definitely not the only one. You're not the first. You won't be the first. You won't be the only one. You won't be the last, right? So like, there's like a bunch of us that have been in your same position, and so I feel like know that you're not alone, and there's always a community out there for you if you ever need support and help. So feel free to reach out to anybody. The second thing I say is like, keep your head up, right? Like, stay positive. You've like, people have obviously worked, really hard to get to this point. It is a little bit of a toss up, like like applying with anything is, right? We have control over so many things, and at some point we don't have control. And so just kind of sometimes accepting that is a difficult process, but also like being okay with that. And then realizing um, like you have definitely done your best, and don't like discredit that. I feel like this isn't a time to have like self-doubt or self-negative speak, but like I don't know who's listening, but whoever you are, like, you're an awesome person. Like, you're meant to be here in whatever stage you're in. Um like, this is your time and your place. And and I think sometimes too, like, you just never know what'll happen. Like PT for me is kind of like, has been a process. Like, I didn't start college wanting to do PT. It took me a couple of years even after college to figure out that I wanted to do PT. And even then it was just like, we're just going to keep trying things and keep going and keep learning. So like, enjoy the journey. Like, don't be down on yourself. And like, you like are an awesome person, and you've done so much already. So like, just, you know, sit back, relish the fact that you have worked really hard, but also like, if you have any like concerns, like, reach out, because everyone's situation is different, right? Like, everyone's journey is different, but we're all in this together, and we're all here for you guys.
Good stuff. Good tips. I just realized that your room around you just keeps getting darker and darker.
Oh yeah, so I have this problem where I really like to sit in the dark.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Dude, I
Like,
cannot.
every morning I would be one of the first in the office, and I would just sit in the dark. And then I also just got too lazy to turn the lights on, so now I'm just here like in
That's
the
fair.
dark.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are some good tips. I think it's hard for people applying because there's always going to be that aspect of doubt. But
Yeah.
yeah, like, don't get discouraged because it might take longer for you to be set on that path, or the path isn't super clear to you. Like she was saying, like, it happens. It happens to anyone. So as long as you know where you want to go eventually, just keep going for it. Don't give up.
Yeah, for sure. And don't compare yourself to others. That's another thing.
Ooh, that's another good one.
Yeah.
Very
Don't
important
compare.
one.
Yeah. This also applies to people like in PT school and then out of PT school. Like, I just feel like these are all just important reminders
Mm-hmm.
regardless, right? Like,
Yeah,
we're in a good spot. Like, we are where we're meant to be, and don't compare.
for sure. All right, Miranda, I'm gonna let you go.
All
But thank
right.
you again for hopping on the call, and thank you for letting
Yeah.
me. Thank you, my CI, for letting me use your chair as my studio office for the evening. I wonder if she's ever gonna find out. That'll be
I don't
funny.
know, but I'm gonna take a picture of this because I think it's hilarious.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice.
Oh gosh, she's okay. She's gonna give me crap for this, but it's okay.
Can't wait.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening and for watching, and we will catch you guys in the next episode. Later, guys.
Peace.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in to today's episode of Broken Stressed. If you enjoyed the podcast, make sure to smash that follow or subscribe button to get notified whenever new episodes are released. If you want to connect with me on social media, you can find me on YouTube or Instagram. Thanks again, guys, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.